I lied. Since I've been animating since June, I obviously picked up on a lot of things when it comes to animation. Through observation, looking at other people's stuff, learning by myself, practicing, the gist. And I want to share exactly that. And it's not going to be all about spacing, the basic stuff. I'm trying to talk about really, I suppose, niche stuff that I don't see a lot of people talk about. So if you want to look for stuff that's more basic, I suggest watching volume 3.5, where I made this whole video talking about how I use Dipsteel Paint, all the basics of animation. So please check it out if you need that. Alright, I'm gonna stop yapping. Okay, 1. References. So, okay, first of all, without references, I have no clue how to animate at all, aside from a few animations that I made without that came out relatively decent. And what I understood by using references is that you don't use the references just to copy them. The point is that you actually appropriate it in your own way, meaning that you have to actually learn and understand how things move in order to manipulate it in the way you want to use it. Like for the jump study I did, while I mostly kept the animation the same, timing-wise, changed the camera angle of the animation to make it more difficult to animate and to actually take advantage of all the poses. And I always keep that kind of stuff in mind. 2. Keys and extremes. So I do this thing where I do my keys and extremes straight ahead and the breakdowns in between pose to pose. So basically, like this animation. I got inspired by Pencil Test from Prince of Egypt, where the animation is really detailed and all that, especially dialogue wise. So what I did is that I kind of appropriated that kind of philosophy, implemented that in my own animation, and then I realized that it ended up looking much smoother and more solid, if that makes sense. It's pretty much just a series of pictures that are somewhat related, that you just stitch together, if that makes sense. And in between those, you'll add the breakdowns in between to make things smoother. That also means that you have to get better at your spacing. And how I got better at my spacing was through magic dot exercises, those that I always put in my series. There was a point where I just did a bunch of them, and when I took a break and got back to animating, I realized that those magic dot animations were super helpful. So spam them. 3. Timing. I mean, it's basically the beat counting that I explained in volume 3.5, where you tap your table in accordance to a certain timing that you want to adjust the animation to. I already explained that in the other video, so I'm just gonna leave a clip here. If you notice it, there's a certain rhythm when you see a bouncing animation, and this particular principle is what I applied to a lot of animations or video references. And what I usually do is I tap my table according to the timing of each keyframe. So for the bouncing ball animation, what I would do usually is this. And with this estimated rhythm, this is what I'm going to use as a base for my timing. And yeah, that's it. 4. Rhythm. It's actually like a combination of the previous 2 points. So you have beat counting and spamming keyframes and extremes, and combining the 2 of them, that's why you find this sort of harmony. I mean, me personally speaking, whenever I made an animation, for example a fighting animation, that's where I used the beat counting the most. And since there's a lot of quick movement in consecution, that's where the quote-unquote spamming works the most for me. But that's also a pretty tricky game between spacing and timing, where the magic dot stuff helps a lot. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually just explaining the basics, so my bad. Alright, 5. Stay organized. This is going to be more so like an umbrella type of thing, but the way you could learn as well is by actually planning and organizing your lessons. So do research on what you actually want to learn. Like actually look for what you want to exercise. And to do that, and to find some examples of certain principles you want to learn, you obviously want to learn from the best of the best, professional animators and such. But if you can't find any sports where you can actually learn from, well, I mean, there's lots of communities that you can join and such. For instance, one place you can learn from, in my opinion, is today's sponsor Skillshare. Now, if you need a spot to find a community of like-minded creatives sharing their wisdom in classes, well curated by the way, or if you want to find other members in specific topics that you want to connect with, then I'd say that Skillshare is pretty much the best spot to find all these things. Like, the variety on Skillshare is actually really huge. Like, you can actually go from subjects such as music and audio or development to crafts and DIY. learned so much out of these things. Like, see what I'm talking about? But if you want to go into the animation side of things, it's pretty much just as rich in wisdom. Like, if you want to go for a specific topic, let's say like storyboards, boom, well, you have a lesson by Tony Kubatojo on how to make your own storyboards from scratch. It's a really good lesson too, because he goes heavily into detail, giving lots of advice and tips and such, which creates this really proper and natural feeling learning experience. If you want to check Skillshare out by yourself, well, you can head to the link in the description to get a free trial for 1 month on Skillshare, which is actually pretty generous of them, if I'm being honest. Like, they're handing this to you. Like, don't miss out on that. You gotta hurry though, as the first 500 people to click on the link in the description can access the free month trial. So hop on that, man. And I'm so thankful once again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and their support for this channel. Like, I genuinely appreciate that. 3-peat, baby. 6. Simplify. So since I mostly do rough animation, I do this thing where I simplify my shapes as much as I can while still being comprehensible, like in my Ren animation, where I did exactly that. It's when I made that animation that I realized that making your own shorthand, designing your own shorthand, even if it's spontaneous or well thought out, is what's going to save you a lot of time, since you're used to what exactly you're trying to convey while keeping things as simple as possible that are comfortable to you to draw. And the way I designed my own, I guess, silhouette-esque shorthand is by simply using the circles for joints, using a silhouette of the waist, using flat soles for the feet, as well as just a few lines for the hips and the upper legs, and also sticks for the shin bones and the clavicles. And obviously that kind of stuff doesn't just come out of thin air. You actually have to have an idea of how the body works and 3D shapes and such. And I also listed a couple of resources for these kind of things, so please check them out in my other video. That's where they are. And the main takeaway, for me at least, is to learn more to do less. 7. Without simplicity, there's no complexity. Yeah, I could have worded that better, not gonna lie. It's basically a realization that I made that a lot of motion has force behind it, which makes sense. When you're walking, when you're jumping, there's always some sort of anticipation behind it. But what I realized is that you can kind of emulate that force by using a ball, for example. And a great way to test that out is with the wave principle. There's a motion you're trying to depict where things go either left or right, inward or outward, alternations and such, which are only understandable if you really understand the way the motion and the force behind it functions. That also just boils down to spacing and ball exercises, magic dot, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, and please practice the wave principle. Watch this video by Panda, he's cool. 8. Volume and consistency. This has more to do with the consistency side of things, so drawing 3D shapes and such, having a full grasp on how 3D it looks and feels, if that makes sense. Like, when I'm trying to draw something, I really want to have the feeling that I'm capable of rotating that object in 360 degrees in my head. And lately I've been able to practice 3D shapes through Peter Hahn's dynamic sketching class, and getting inspired by other animators can also help if you want to keep your animations more consistent, you know? As an example, I have animators like Roadsign, Daniel Kim, Shamalama, Julian Bentley, Midcall, and my personal favorite, James Baxter. Oh man, like, have you ever seen the ball scene in The Beauty and the Beast, where there's this rotation of the room and they're dancing and stuff? This, like, I'm not even gonna start, because I'm gonna continue yapping and that's not good. Oh, and Sketchfab is also a pretty good resource to use if you want to practice drawing 3D shapes in different angles and whatnot. That's what I actually use as a reference right here. This comment by Panda actually inspired me to make this entire point. So check out his stuff, take his advice, he's actually pretty good. Alright, last one, which is not going to be a practical one for animating, but it's more about the socials, which is also pretty important in my opinion. Because I see people doing questionable stuff, I'd say. So what I can tell about socials is that it's not that deep. Just post your stuff and keep it pushing. Like, I see people doing some dumb stuff sometimes, getting into drama and all that. You're just here to post your animation and see if people mess with it, or just promote your stuff or whatever. Just do it and go. That's it. It's not that deep. Come on. It's also a good way to find other people that animate, people that are better than you, which could probably lead you to, I guess, Discord or small communities within, let's say, Twitter, where people criticize your work when you need help. And that's always a pretty good thing, which can also be a pretty nice leeway to found your own community of people that inspire you to look up to, that you can help as well, and to create just your own lane of how you want to curate your career, you know? So in short, you just shut up, create your own lane, and you talk to people. And yeah, that's it. That's all I picked up from learning animation. Might be helpful, maybe not. Maybe you just want me to shut up, I don't know. But I at least hope that it helped somebody, if it was helpful or whatnot. So let me know if that helped you. If you have any questions as well, just leave a comment. If you want to stick around, since I have a lot of things in my head that I want to execute in the future, you can subscribe. By the way, when you say the word subscribe, does the button actually light up? Because I've seen it on other YouTube videos and I found it super cool. So I'm just wondering. Oh, and again, watch volume 3.5 if you need more information on, I guess, more of the basics and the way I use Clip Studio Paint. That might be helpful to you. Oh, and one more thing, follow my socials in the description, especially my coffee, because I'm currently working on a project right now that is going to take a while to work on. So any support given is highly appreciated, whether you share it on socials or you just simply click on the link, you know? That'd be hugely appreciated. So thank you very much. If you need anything else, again, just leave a question in the comments, or if you have any suggestions, just let me know. This video was just another way to document the way I have learned animation the past couple of months, and to condense all the information that I acquired in a single small video. And you're not gonna see me post on this channel for a good while probably, so yeah, bye.